Thanks for tuning in to the Glossy Podcast. I'm your host, Jill Manoff, and today I'm sitting down with Jill Renslow, the Chief Business and Marketing Officer at Minnesota-based Mall of America, the largest retail and entertainment complex in the U.S. Somehow, she found time to make it here as the holiday shopping season ramps up. I would suspect it is her Super Bowl, so I wanted to ask how she and Mall of America are tackling the opportunity this year. I also wanted to get her take on the state of the American mall in general. What's in, what's out, what's very out, and what's next. Welcome, Jill. Two Jills.
I love this. Yes, I'm so excited to talk about all things retail. This is our world, and as you said, the holidays are upon us, and this is our Super Bowl.
It is go time. Well, I have to ask, the mall, the word mall, like mall is in the name of Mall of America. It's in the name. And it has I feel like it has a bad name. Like, do you describe what you do and where you work as a mall despite the name?
We are so much more than a mall. And we have been since we opened over 30 years ago. So we're all about experience. We set the mark as an industry leader decades ago that it is more than a mall. It does hurt us that it's in our name, but we embrace it because, malls that are reinventing themselves, that are keeping things fresh and exciting and always changing it for the consumer are thriving today. So as much as we get a bad rap in general about shopping centers, kind of in the doom and gloom, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the retail industry and really excited to talk about that today.
Yes. Well, give us the lay of the land because a lot of, brands tell us about their own store. It's like it's more than a point of transaction. When it comes to Mall of America, it's more than just stores and a food court. What's all there?
It's more than a shopping center because it has to be all those elements that really drive people to the physical space. We want them to come to brick and mortar. It needs to be something that's different than online. We cannot, we need to complement what's happening online because there's a lot of convenience and we've all been pushed there because of other components like the pandemic. Like that was just the way that we needed to survive. But the key is bringing people back to brick and mortar is key and giving them that experience to have in person with friends and family, be able to create memories and have that sense of fun. And, it's about how you feel. People remember more about how you feel versus the physical things that you take away. And when we can add to that element of memories and moments that you can hang on for years, makes it really special. And that's why we keep having to reinvent what that looks like and bringing new things to the table so that it gives consumers a reason to come back. We hope that when they think of Mall of America, they think of fun and excitement because when they come here, they know that they'll have something new. And we're very proud that the second year in a row, Chain Store Age noted Mall of America as the number one retail experience in the nation. And there's a reason for that. We're not just the biggest, we're the best. And we really have an amazing team that delivers outstanding experiences for our customers every day.
Oh, I have to hear about this. I tell you what, I know 555 Group is wrapped up in both locations, both malls, but I've written in great detail about American Dream Mall in New Jersey. And I hear about the customer service being offered on site at Mall of America, like how the mall is able to serve customers beyond, I'm sorry, I keep saying mall.
You're good. It's all good.
Beyond just the offerings. Do you have several folks dedicated to this?
Yes. So we do have our sister property in New Jersey called American Dream. We also have another property in Canada called West Edmonton Mall. So there are three of us that are very friendly siblings that rival on fun occasions to push each other to do things bigger and better all the time. But the key is making sure that we do have dedicated efforts on making sure we deliver a great guest experience. Actually, our mission and our vision at Mall of America is about creating love moments for every guest at every visit. So we empower all of our team, whether they're housekeepers, they're part of our maintenance and engineering team, they're part of guest service, ride operators. They are empowered to make love moments happen every day. And so being able to have that empowerment and to train the team to go over and beyond what they would typically expect to experience is what's really important and powerful. And it's a challenge in the day and age because the labor markets are not easy for the retail and entertainment industry. And so it's really important to retain talent the best you can and to be able to, motivate them and inspire them to do special things every day for our guests.
Yes. Well, I know you have hotels on site. To what extent is your Mall of America visitor a tourist?
We have about 40% of our visitors are tourists, and that's anyone out of the state of Minnesota. And then we have about 8%, depending on the direct flights and the exchange rates that are actually international. And so we get a lot of visitors from out of town. We love that because we actually don't have any sales tax on clothes and shoes. So it's a huge driver for those markets that have the sales tax that differentiate us. We love to have people come, buy extra suitcases, fill them up, and bring them home. But it's really important for us to have that balance because it allows us to have a pretty flat traffic grid across the 12 months of the year. A typical shopping center are going to have more peaks throughout the year, but we have spring break, summer, and holiday are definitely our high points. But even in between, when the locals aren't shopping, we have a lot of tourists that come here. So we love everyone that comes to the mall. But we have about 32 million visitors a year. And so a lot of visitors, both local and across the nation, that come and visit us.
I was just going to ask those numbers. And for a tourist, maybe they're spending 2+ days at the mall.
Yes, we love them. So you mentioned the connected hotels. That's the best. So anybody that's come to Minnesota, they know that between November and March, it can get a little chilly here. Oh, yeah. So it's nice because we're literally across the street from the international airport. So visitors can land, they can jump on light rail transit, which literally connects the airport with the mall. And so they don't even need to go outside because then they can come and play here. And now they can stay here as well. So we do have 2 beautiful connected hotels, the Radisson Blu and the JW Marriott. So over 840 hotel rooms. So it makes it really, really easy. Plus, we have a lot of hotels in the corridor of Bloomington, Minnesota that we reside in, which makes it really convenient for guests to be able to come. And then we're only about 15 minutes away from downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul. So nice. Very close to everything that's happening here in the Twin Cities.
Yes. So again, on those elements, there are amusement parks. Are there maybe not things like gyms, but like what are the new standards in terms of the types of offerings that you should offer that people are looking for or surprise and delight them? They didn't even know they wanted it.
Yeah, not only Mall of America and American Dream and West Edmonton, we're very creative in our spaces, but that's what the success is in shopping centers today. They're really being thoughtful of reinventing the spaces that we've used traditionally, maybe for anchor stores, using those for different purposes. And I think the more that you can diversify your product mix and services, the better. And so you mentioned attractions. That's one of the key factors that differentiates 555 and our properties versus anyone else, not only across the nation, but around the world. At Mall of America, we have a 7-acre theme park right in the middle of our property. So you can ride roller coasters, go down slides, really immerse yourself in the theme park experience with Nickelodeon universe. But that has millions of visitors a year, and it's a great complement. And what's unique is it's a pay to play. So you do not have a gated entry at Mall of America. You can walk around and enjoy the theme park and then just buy points, wristbands to be able to go on the rides if you choose to do so. We also have over a dozen additional attractions, everything from the Museum of Illusions to Wink World to Sea Life. So many varieties of options. So when you come back, you can package it up with your shopping and with your dining. And so something for everyone. And that really helps us differentiate Mall of America compared to what you're going to have at other local shopping centers. But then it's also, you mentioned fitness centers. A lot of shopping centers are looking at fitness as an option. It helps drive that frequency, especially if you're local guests. But we have an office tower here, a great complement to the traffic that you have in a shopping center because obviously, shopping is typically in the evenings on the weekends when kids are out of school and parents are not working. But with the office environment, you need parking during the week. You don't need it on the weekends. And so it's a nice complement. But we also have medical facilities. We've had educational partners. So creating that diversity is really, really important for the success and the sustainability of revenue generation for the property.
Yes. So interesting. In New York, obviously, a lot of apartments are springing up around the shopping center of Hudson Yards. Are people living there? Residential developments also coming your way?
Yes, we don't have that on our footprint just because we have a lot of residential really in close proximity to the mall already that's developed in Bloomington. But yes, you're seeing that across the country, that residential is definitely a complement. I mean, what's not better to live right next to where you love to shop, dine, and play? I mean, you never have to leave.
It's so dangerous.
Sometimes I feel like that here. Whether I live here or not, sometimes I feel like I do.
I'll set up a bed. But tell me about advertising, because I would think a lot of it, to some extent, is being done by the brands, the retailers themselves. How do you market the Mall of America? Is it about the brands that you carry? Is it about your events and activities? All of the above?
All the above. And, it's a unique challenge because you really have every walk of life coming through the doors, from 3-year-olds to 83-year-olds. And so looking at where you want to market and working with the brands that are in your building. And I think that's really the key to our success is we have amazing relationships with the brands in this building. We work with them from when they signed the dotted line for the lease agreement to their opening day throughout the year, and obviously really leaning into the special holidays and the retail calendar. But the key is that success and having open dialogue, because with the power of social media in today's world, it's really important for them to be sharing our content to their followers and their brand ambassadors, as well as us being able to capture the content from them and explore and expand their message to a broader audience that they might not be aware of. So there's a lot of power and collaboration across social channels more than ever, as well as influencers. And everybody's in that space and really trying to figure out the right influencers that are best for their brand and that content creation, not only with influencers and ambassadors that can help amplify your message, but it's also taking that in-house. And at Mall of America being established, we've been able to create our own content. We've created our own podcast called So Much More. We've created several different channels where we're developing the content as experts in this space, leaning into the brands that we work with to make sure that we have the right messages that are out there. And it's been very successful for us. And we're still doing some of the traditional advertising and doing some broadcasts and outdoor and print, but it's the really creative mix of all the different uses and really finding those niche markets that we can really make sure that we're doubling down on them, driving that frequency, but also introducing new audiences to the brands that we have in the building.
I was just going to ask about your podcast. That's so unique. That's so interesting. Is this a weekly podcast?
It is. We drop every Wednesday, and we're proud to say we're in the top 10% of business podcasts across the nation. It's called So Much More, and we really just wanted a chance to tell more stories. We have so much to share here. So it's everything from talking with retailers and entrepreneurs to business leaders and content creators. Even our events, we have had some celebrities on the podcast because we have over 350 events a year. And so being able to have some of those personalities and talents on the podcast, it's been so much fun. And we're learning, as we all are, trying to figure out the best way to share that content and those stories, but we're having a lot of fun.
No doubt. I want to hear more about both the behavior of companies, brands, and consumers. On the brand side, those retailers that are coming into the mall, are you seeing greater demand for physical retail, maybe from direct-to-consumer brands or any sort of shifts in the types of retailers that are coming to you? And maybe there's a wait list. I don't know what that even looks like, but yeah, tell me about the state of that.
Yeah, being a mature property allows us to be really picky on who we bring into this property. We want to make sure we have the right co-tenancy, the right mix to create those neighborhoods within our space to make it really attractive and fun for consumers to shop here and to be able to be exposed to a lot of first-to-market brands, a lot of focus there. We want to make sure we're the first one in Minnesota, in the Midwest, to have some of these brands, and some of them first in the country. Typically, we have flagship locations, top performing in their chain. We're very proud to say we have the number one Lululemon in the country.
Oh, wow.
They have a great experiential retail experience with a fuel up bar, and they have classroom spaces to host yoga sessions and fit classes. And it's great to have brands that really believe in us, understand the exposure opportunity here at Mall of America, but also know that we're willing to try new things and we want to test out the market. You mentioned direct to consumer brands, and we've had a lot of success in going after brands that don't typically have brick and mortar to say, give us a shot, do a pop-up experience, see how it's going to work. So for an example, Addicted, if you've heard of that brand,
yes,
kicked off on TikTok, and we are the second location in the country. Addicted with the E.
Yes.
And they opened up the early part of the summer season, which was perfect because they hit back to school hard. And I think every Gen Z female in this marketplace came to check out the store. And I mean, it was bonkers. They had so many people in the store, and it was just great because they had a built-in audience of followers from their TikTok content, which they just directly marketed to, brought that audience directly into the brick and mortar store. And from a consumer perspective, and those brand ambassadors, like they were so excited to experience the brand in person. And so when you can have that connection and develop that relationship, and for the brand, it allows them to get to know their consumer outside of the digital space. And it's just a win-win for everybody. So that's been a great addition to our property. We've had a lot of online brands come to brick and mortar. Some of them start with a pop-up, but oftentimes, whether they start with a pop-up or they come with a longer term lease, they're extending it because they understand very quickly the value of the brick and mortar space. And especially when you can also embrace the co-tenants that are in your space, the other environmental opportunities, the events that we host, gives them amazing brand exposure. And it's just a home run for everyone.
You're not kidding. I did have that question. I was going to ask about the need for a constant newness. And if there is dedicated space in the mall for pop-ups, it's a rotating space and that's how it stands. We're never going to make it a permanent lease or something like that.
You know, we've tried that. It's hard to have a dedicated space just because it depends on the square footage that a pop-up needs and other elements that are important. So we've tried to dedicate a space, but we found that it works out better for us to take a look at the brand, what they need, what the timing's like, what we want to have for co-tenancy. And so we've been moving that around. But typically your pop-ups are smaller in footprint. So we're usually around that 3,000 to 5,000 square foot. But what I love is most recently we developed a relationship with Rent the Runway. So this last spring, we popped up a dress store right around the prom season, making it convenient for young ladies to get a unique dress for them to wear to prom. And it ended up, we had success with prom, but we found that a lot of us that weren't even going to prom were finding awesome dresses at a great price because they were previously used, but you're getting anywhere from $200 to $1,000 dresses for $80. And so a lot of us were enjoying getting some awesome dresses in our wardrobes, but we had great success this spring. So just recently we opened up a full line Rent the Runway store for the fourth quarter. Actually, we'll probably go into January, but out of the gates had a great grand opening and the marketplace loves it. Because who doesn't love getting a designer item for a great price? Even if you only wear it once or twice, it's just fun to be able to have those in your closet. But it's coats, it's jackets, sweaters, pants. It's the full line, all female. But we're hoping that we can do a longer term run with them. But it's been a great experience. And that's the thing is we have success stories that we can share with other brands to give them a shot. And, you know, what's to hurt? It just pop up for a few months and see how it's going to work. And especially during the holiday season, it'll be great.
No joke. You mentioned Addicted, Lululemon. Like I think of, immediately thinks of my niece who's a Gen Zer. And obviously some of the, I would say stores that are more likely to be found in a mall like a Sephora are really hot with Gen Z right now. And there's Altered State. Tell me about your shopper demo. And if it is skewing younger as TikTok and all of the other influences really fuel the momentum of these brands.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because you look at, what audience is the most profitable versus what is the future audience that's going to be here longer term. So we definitely have multiple markets that we go after. Typically it's that 35-year-old woman that has a significant household income that was always been our bread and butter. But, we'll continue to attract towards her. But you have a boomer generation that has time, has discretionary income. We don't want to forget about them. They're out here. So we market to really every generation, the boomers, the Xers, the millennials, and the Zers. I mean, it's really making sure that you have a custom marketing strategy with each one of those audiences because they bring something different to the table. We host hundreds of events, as I already shared. Yes. And the key is making sure you diversify. You have something for everyone. So it's not just, we don't want to have just all pop bands or now is the big K-pop craze. We just had a huge event with Cat's Eye. And so they were here. And so it's fun but then, that's for a specific audience. And then earlier this spring, we had Marshmello, the DJ that came out and had a crowd of 5,000 people. And that was a different audience. And then we have Saturday Night Nitro, which is all wrestling fans. And that really spans across all different generations. But we really want to make sure, not only from a marketing perspective, but the content and what we develop and execute in this building and bring to our customer is very diverse. And so we do a lot more, say, narrow casting on some of our marketing efforts because gone are the days that you can just put a brand spot out there and that it reaches everybody. It just doesn't anymore. You really have to look at more niche marketing efforts and customize and personalize as much as you can to make your customer feel special.
Hi, I'm Jill Manoff, the editor-in-chief at Glossy. For nearly 20 years, I've been covering the beauty and fashion industries. With the landscape evolving so rapidly, especially with innovations like AI, staying informed is more crucial than ever. At Glossy, we pride ourselves on delivering well-researched, premium content vetted by our journalists who themselves are industry experts. Our goal is to empower you with the knowledge to make strategic, real-time decisions for your team. If you'd like to subscribe to Glossy Plus to support the work we do, you can go to glossy.co/subscribe. Members receive exclusive access to in-depth research and weekly briefings covering what's happening in fashion, luxury, beauty, and wellness, as well as case studies, invites to member-only events, and so much more. Thank you for being part of our community. Well, I have to ask, obviously there was a time where the mall had to close, Mall of America had to close, pandemic times. What would you say in terms of the impact, in terms of how you're approaching your job and how the operations of the mall? Like, how did it impact you? I definitely know it impacted consumer behavior.
That was definitely an impact to our business, our employees, our tenants, our guests. It was just a change for all of us. I think the biggest thing was change. And I learned that change is inevitable. And the only thing you can manage through change is how you react to it. And I think we did a phenomenal job of navigating through very challenging waters in Minnesota. Much like many other states, we were all on different timelines. And the unique element was the fact that retail was on one timeline, entertainment was on one, dining, hospitality. So we were navigating multiple timelines, whereas we had people coming in from not only Minnesota, but other states not knowing what was open, what was at 50%, what was at 100%. Everything was different and it was changing week over week. So our team became extremely flexible. I think the agility of our team really helped us move forward. And we learned that, anything's possible. We can get through things we didn't know. Are people going to come back to brick and mortar? We were all forced to shop online and do curbside pickup. And how is this going to work for us? But we learned that, it's a human connection that we have. There's instant gratification. There's a sense of joy that brick and mortar brings to all of us as individuals and as collective units with our family and friends. And when we reopened our doors after being closed for 3 months, granted, we reopened in phases, but when we reopened, people were so excited to come back. And one of the first people that I walked into when we reopened was one of our mall walkers. We have thousands of mall walkers.
Yes.
They were sitting in their car at 7 a.m. just waiting for us to open our doors because they knew that we were reopening, and they needed that human connection. They needed to be in their space that they felt safe and that was part of their routine. And it made me so happy to know that, our mall walkers were back. And if they were coming back, everybody else was as well. And our traffic and sales have been phenomenal each year. Since the pandemic, we continue to get stronger. And it's just great to see that, people want to be here and we want to entertain them.
Mall walkers. That's a nice walk.
Well, it's about a mile around each level. So you can get a 5K in over lunch hour. It's great.
Amazing. Well, you could touched on it, consumer behavior. I was going to ask about traffic compared to pre-pandemic times. Would you say it's up? Yeah?
It is up. We had a fantastic summer, it always is so crazy because in Minnesota, we have literally a short amount of time that we have beautiful weather. So all of the locals go out to the lakes. Like we go north to the lakes. We enjoy the summer. So we have tons of drive market traffic that comes during the summer. And we had a record-breaking summer. And we can really not only watch traffic, we get the sales monthly from our tenants, but we own and operate the theme park. So we can see direct sales real time to see what's happening. And it was a fantastic summer. So fall is always a transition time frame, always still solid with the Halloween season, but holiday, we're expecting a fantastic holiday season.
Oh my gosh, let's touch on that. But before we go on to that, the curbside pickup and the buy online pickup in store, like that's all stuck. Like that's still the expectation. Like tell me about the pandemic change on that, like new standards in terms of omni-channel, quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah, I think services are still something that's really important and consumers expect it. We want the convenience to be able to shop whenever we want. So the buy online, pick up in store is huge, and it will continue to be. Our retailers are really smart in that space of making sure they accommodate from a convenience perspective. But it's also, we're not as much as a curbside here. It's hard because we're 5.6 million square feet. And so when we have designated spots for curbside pickup, but it's still, you still have a ways to walk if you're going to be going to a store. So curbside never was a huge thing for us, but we did accommodate as needed during the pandemic. Yeah. But buy online, pick up store for sure. We all love to be able to grab something in our basket the night before and then be able to go to lunch and grab it while you're there. And we want to do everything we can to accommodate those services. And I think that's one of the things when you talk about what we've learned and walking away from it, it's, making sure we're listening to consumers and making sure that we are putting in place those services to make their experience that much better. So it's, you can take care of the to-do list, the things. So when you come here, you can have fun in the theme park or just enjoy a nice dinner or grab those, spontaneous items that you might not have had on your list that really make you happy and bring you joy. So I think services are really key, and it's personalization. It's the wardrobing. It's the personal shoppers. It's being able to lean into more of that VIP experience that you can't get online. And, we're reminding our brands all the time. It's how can you differentiate what you have? And even if you have, a marketplace or an online shop online, a lot of times they're fulfilling them from the stores here. Because when you have the flagship stores, they usually carry an extended inventory. So they're fulfilling all those orders anyway. But it's like, how do you differentiate yourself? And it's not always about just putting a coffee shop in your store to increase dwell. It's what makes sense for your brand, what complements what you already offer, and what differentiates you in the world of retail.
For sure. Well, it's only October 8th. Has a holiday, how you see it in mall with decorations and potentially a Santa. Is it already kicked off at Mall of America? Or I'm sure it happens prior to Good Friday, Black Friday, as it used to.
Yes. Some of our stores start putting their holiday components up, but we wait till November 1st. So we are all in on the Halloween festivities through October. And then November 1st, our team starts putting up all our holiday decor. And like I said, we're a big space, 5.6 million square feet. So it takes us a little while to put up all the holiday decor, but our team usually within about 7 to 10 days can get it all up. And it is gorgeous here. So if you have never experienced Mall of America during the holidays, listeners, viewers, you got to check it out. It is very, very special. It's magical during the holidays. And so we will be kicking things off. Usually by mid-November is where more of our events start kicking in. It's going to be different this year because Black Friday is the last week of November. And so it's going to feel like a pretty tight holiday season. So any of those procrastinators out there, you better start early because I'm usually the Black Friday and then I'm going to get stressed this year because there's only a couple weeks to go. But we double down on Black Friday. So as much as it has diluted across the nation and it's just not what it used to be, still those big box retailers do some of the doorbusters and stuff, but we have thousands of people. So sit down for this, about 250,000 people come to Mall of America on Black Friday. So typically we have a couple thousand people that are outside our front doors waiting to get in. We entertain them outside. We keep them warm and they come in and we usually reward the first 500 people that are in line, make sure that they're getting their gift cards. We have scratch offs. We actually do our own version of doorbusters. So we have local celebrities that we actually have them bust through a door to give prizes to people. It is so much fun. All the local media are here because this is the place to be for Black Friday. And we don't even have to have all the traditional doorbusters. People come for the tradition and the fun experience of Black Friday. And we, about 10 years ago, closed on Thanksgiving because if you remember, like the creep of getting earlier and earlier on Thanksgiving, we said, this is getting ridiculous. Like we need to give this day back to our team, back to our tenants. And obviously they were thrilled when we made the announcement. When we went around handing out notifications to our tenants, we had people crying. They were so excited to be able to have that day back with their family and be able to have the tradition of Thanksgiving. And so being able to put all the focus on Black Friday has allowed us to just do it like no other. And it's so much fun. We're here at, 3:30, 4 in the morning, getting ready to go to open our doors at 7. And that kicks off the holidays for us. So lots of different events, lots of charity components, just because it's the time to not only give to your family and friends, but give to others that might not be as fortunate.
I tell you what, I feel like some people listening might think that sounds like hell, but I think it sounds amazing. Is there running? Is there like running when the doors open? I love this.
No, actually, no, they're so respectful, and we don't have like the mobs running in. We have it very well controlled, like the logistics, the team that puts together all the details for the day, they do an amazing job. So it is very high energy, so much fun. The people that are here want to be here. You'll see a few spouses and others that might be like taking a break, drinking a coffee, or, waiting while the rest of the family's shopping. But the energy is just so special. So it is definitely an experience to have in your lifetime, is to come here for Black Friday.
I love that you saved the goods for Black Friday. I remember back in the day, side note, I used to work for Sears Holdings, and we used to go out on Thanksgiving Day in the mall and competitive shop, quote unquote, and take little notes and see what the other department stores are doing and drop it in our little Slack channel or whatever the platform was. My mother used to get so mad when I'd get up and be like, time for me to go competitive shop. And she's like, it's Thanksgiving. Anyway, what the heck? You love Mall of America. You have been there a very long time. From an intern, tell me about your trajectory. It's so interesting.
I do love the mall. I'm a lifer. I said I live here. I literally do. No, I started as an intern, out of college. I had a marketing degree, and I always wanted to do event marketing. And I had my sights set on Disney, but my family was here in Minnesota, and I was still going to school at the time. And so I was like, what's the next best thing? And this is the Disney of the Midwest. So I wanted to come check things out, and I was able to get an internship in our events team and always stayed on the marketing track. So a variety of different positions on the marketing side of the organization. And once you drink the Kool-Aid, it's hard to walk away. It is so different every single day here, and the fun projects that we get to work on, the dynamic partners that we get to work with, it's so special. And having the family ownership allows us to really have a lot of agility and make decisions locally quickly, so we can move on ideas, take advantage of the opportunities, work with partners that bring innovative ideas to the table. So it really allows us to continue to be that leader in the space, because we can try new things all the time. And I love the fact that we have an environment that we push ourselves to, that we can fail. If we push ourselves far enough, we're going to fail. It's okay. We learn from it, but we move quickly. And our consumers expect us to have these big and bold ideas. And because of that, they give us forgiveness when sometimes things aren't perfect, because they know that we're always trying something new. And I love that. We have such a great fan base, and we will continue to push ourselves and to bring big and bold ideas forward every day.
Right on. Last question. You've mentioned the word innovation a couple of times, and I'm just guessing that is what's separating the in from the out. I promised in my intro, what is out? But what is forcing other malls to close in a nutshell? You don't have to talk smack, but where are others going wrong?
I think it's just not trying new things. I think just taking the easy route and recognizing sometimes you have to make hard decisions, and sometimes brands get tired and you need to move out old brands, bring in new brands, keep things fresh. And I think it's hard to make those decisions sometimes, and you never know. It might not always work, but you have to try. And to be able to be innovative with your spaces, try new things, bring brands together that might not have worked together in the past. We looked at some of our anchor spaces. Bloomingdale's used to be in our space at the very beginning. Unfortunately, Bloomingdale's left this marketplace years ago, but we took that opportunity to break up the space to do junior anchors. We put in LL Bean, Forever 21, a Crayola experience. And honestly, from a landlord perspective, it's much more profitable to have those smaller spaces paying higher rents than the anchors. Anchors don't typically pay the higher rents. And so it's just looking at things through a different lens, and always having the consumer at the front, and always looking at what they're expecting and bringing them something that is unexpected, because, you can ask them what they want. They're going to be able to have ideas based on what they're seeing from other brands, but we are inspired every day by different industries. I'm constantly looking at the travel industry and airports and what they're doing. Actually, we were inspired by the airports for our digital directories. And so on Mall, we have amazing dynamic digital directories that help our guests navigate this large footprint of a property. And you can send it to your mobile device. So you have a remote control throughout the property and you can easily navigate. But being inspired by other industries, whether that be transportation or medical or whatever that might be, it's amazing where you can take some of these ideas and influence your decisions, what you're doing. So I think the key is just being okay with trying new things and being bold. But it's also having the power around you support that type of environment. We have amazing culture here, and I think that's really, really important.
Yes. Do you currently have department stores, whether or not they are, quote, anchor?
We do. We have Nordstrom and we have Macy's. Those are still our two strong anchors. But yeah, it's just reinventing the spaces all the time.
Yes. And when it comes to like a lease with a retailer, have you gotten, I guess, a little more creative to be able to say, this is not a long term because you want to have that flexibility?
Absolutely. And that's the thing is can't have cookie cutter leases anymore. I mean, gone are the days where everybody's on a 10-year lease. Like you as a landlord want the flexibility. They want the flexibility because they want to learn, but it's just being smart and setting up the right deal. It's going to work best for everybody. We are very proud that we actually have over 100 small businesses within our leased space. And so we have over 500 tenants and about 100 of them are small businesses. And so we pride ourselves on the fact that it's not just for big brands here at Mall of America, even though we have a big name. We want to make sure entrepreneurs have the opportunity to have the exposure, to have the resources from our design team, our marketing team, our communications team to be able to build their brand and to have exposure to the world. And so it's really important for us to have that mix of retailers here because you want to find something unique and different. And if you have all the big brands that you're going to see at the other properties, that's not always going to differentiate yourselves.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, if I had your job, I would be leaving with a shopping bag every day.
You'd be surprised. Like certain times of the year, it helps. You can do a lot of window shopping, so you're more efficient at your shopping. But when you're here all day, it's hard to stay all night as well and do all the shopping. So it's a nice balance. But tell me when my kids are here, we're definitely shopping because they won't let me leave without getting all the good deals.
No doubt. Jill, this was so fun. Best of luck this holiday season. And I'm in the Midwest. I'm in St. Louis. I have not been there and I'm going to get there. I am very inspired right now.
I love that. Well, you're welcome anytime. Please make sure you give me a shout so I can show you around and give you a personal tour.
I would love that. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode. Our theme music is by Otis McDonald. Be sure to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to the Glossy Podcast. See you next week.